This video is brought to you by JSK.com. We're one of the largest tool retail companies in Canada's capital region. If you want to buy any tools you see in this video, please come to our store or visit our website. More detail in the video description. Hey guys, Jason here. As we're fully reopened from the COVID-19 closure, it's time to revisit, or should I say, continue the investigation on the topic of battery-powered Sawzalls. From the few previous videos related to this subject, we now know the difference between different Sawzall blades. We had a rough look at all three Sawzalls, and we also took a look at the added one key feature of this Milwaukee Super Sawzall. And this video is a direct comparison of these three tools. Which one is the best, which one you should buy, and what is the difference between them? And last but not least, which one do we recommend? As a disclaimer, when we're comparing these tools, we do not mixing any bias towards a particular brand or a particular tool, since we sell all of them, and the findings we present comes from a relatively limited sample. So take this video as a general advice or knowledge instead of an absolute buying Bible. With that out of the way, here are some criteria we considered when ranking and rating each tool. In this case, we're looking for specs, comfort, speed, extra features, and price. For the ease of understanding, this video will also be presented in that following order. On our left is the Dewaly DCS3AAB, in the middle we have the Milwaukee 2721-20, and on our right we have the Makita RDJ1A7. So first of all, the specs. In general, all three tools are pretty similar on paper. They all have a removable shoe, they're all using standard Sawzall blades, and they're all rated at 3000 SPM, which is strokes per minute. And of course, they're all battery powered, which is really convenient so you don't have to drag a cord around on your job site. But if you put some close attention, one of the big differences is in the tool's stroke length. And it basically means the distance that blade will travel when cutting the material. With the same SPM, higher stroking length means more teeth will get in contact with whatever you're cutting, which also means more material will get taken off per minute. As we can see, both Milwaukee and Dewaly Sawzall have a stroking length of 1 1/8 of an inch, but the DJR1A7 from Makita has a 1 1/4 inch stroking length. It's only 1/4 of an inch difference, but we think it played a pretty important role later down the comparison. And there's another difference, which is weight. On the specs, we can see our heaviest contender, this Dewaly one, is almost a full pound heavier than the lightest. Someone might argue that for a cutting tool, an extra pound doesn't really mean much, but as we mentioned in our unboxing video, the extra weight does make the tool feel less balanced and kind of hard to hold with one hand. So in the specs category, Makita wins. Speaking of comfort, this will be a very objective view and pretty much just my personal feelings, but I love how Makita feels in my hand. As I mentioned, it's lighter, the grip is less aggressive, which feels more comfortable, and the trigger is wider, which also helps with the grip. I didn't see many people talking about this, but the blade mechanism is amazing. You only need one hand to remove and insert the blade. The locking ring will stay unlocked after you twist it, and will lock automatically when you insert the blade. For both Milwaukee and Makita options, you have to use two hands to remove the blade, and you pretty much have to set the tool down to a surface to do so. Now, some people might say that it's safer to remove the blade on the other two Sawzalls, since you don't have to stick your fingers into the stroking mechanism and risking maybe cut open your fingers. But I will say you should lock the trigger whenever you're changing blades, no matter which brand you're using. It's like you need to stop pumping gas before you pull out the nozzle. It's just common sense. All jokes aside, I do understand people might find it difficult to remove the blades when wearing thicker gloves. And I'm not saying it's perfect. Maybe design the next generation Sawzall from any brand with a lever blade lock that's also one-hand operatable. Anyways, in this category, I have to give the win to Makita again. Now, this is the part where everyone really cares about. Which one of the Sawzall is the fastest? During the test, we choose to test on cutting both 4x4 pressure-treated posts and Schedule 40 pipes. Each Sawzall is equipped with a set of new blades at the beginning of the test, and each test is repeated 3 times on the same blade, and we choose the mean of each 3 tests as our final result. To make sure each tool is receiving a similar amount of power, we choose to use 108 Wh batteries for both Milwaukee and Makita, and a 120 Wh battery for Dewaly, since it's the closest option to 108 Wh in their flexible ecosystem. During the test, I had my hands on the saw at the start of the cut to get it started, and then I let go and let the 10-pound weight to carry the blade through the material. So how's the result? From this test, we can clearly see Makita is faster than Milwaukee and closely followed by Dewaly. The clips shown here are the ones that can most represent the mean, and in fact in almost all tests, Makita is always a few seconds faster than the other two competitors. This result surprised me too, since I don't think there will be such a consistent and prominent difference between these tools. But if we really think about it, it makes sense. Since the RDJ187 have a longer stroking distance, it should be faster than the other two from Milwaukee and Dewaly, since, as I mentioned before, they all run at a 3000 SPM, which means the longer the stroke length, the more teeth will get contact with the material, the faster the cut will go. So the winner is clear. Makita is the fastest Sawzall out of the three. As a side note, Makita also has an even more powerful 36-volt Sawzall, which according to their promotional material is about 50% faster than the already fast RDJ187. Let us know if you want to see that Sawzall destroy its competitors. Now let's talk about extra features. Hardware-wise, both Makita and Milwaukee are both doing great, with included rafter hooks, a lighter build compared with Dewaly, but we also have to mention the added function of Milwaukee's offering from their one-key system. During the test, I actually did not use any of the assistive feature and was operating the tool 100% manually. In this clip, you can see me kind of struggling or starting to cut a metal without giving the tool too much support. In this case, the slow start feature from one key will comes in really handy. Also, the auto stop feature will make the cut much safer, since it will automatically disengage the trigger after the blade is through. So in this category, we have to give the credit to Milwaukee's 2721-20, but it comes with a catch, which is price. Both Makita and Dewaly's offering is at 249 Canadian, and the Makita one, this 2721-20, is at $299. If you don't want the extra one key feature, there is the 2720-20, which looks exactly the same spec-wise, and I assume it'll perform pretty much the same as this 2721-20. Now there's another newer version of Milwaukee's Super Sawzall, which under the SKU of 2722-20, which I believe is a newer model, and this one's stroking distance is the same as the RDJ187 at 1¼ inch, which should perform similar to this RDJ187, but it's much more expensive at 319 Canadian dollar at the time of the recording. So price-wise, it's another win for Makita. To sum up, the RDJ187 from Makita is better on the specs, lighter, more comfortable to operate, faster, and less expensive. Even though the competition is tight, but I still feel that the RDJ187 from Makita is overall a better tool as it is. Maybe I'm biased because I'm an Asian and with a relatively smaller hands and want to give a fellow Asian company more credit, but that's just how I felt. Now, which one you should buy? I normally don't like to say this, but it depends. It really depends. All three options are very capable tools, and I believe they will help you on the job site for years to come. But if you want the absolute best Sawzall money can buy, period, you can't go wrong with the RDJ187. It is the fastest Sawzall out of the three. If you already have a ton of Dewaly tools and are very invested in the 20-volt and flexible ecosystem like I do, the DCS-3AB is not a terrible choice at all, even though it's both heavier, slower, and I don't like the ergonomics of it at all, but it's still a very good tool. In the case of the Milwaukee Sawzall, it's actually pretty interesting. Remember, they're the company who invented this category of tools. Like, they invented Sawzall. And you can see their speed of innovation just by looking on their website. They almost introduce a newer version of the tool every other year. At the same time, the M18 family is growing at a ridiculous speed with a lot of weird and very specialized tools that you can't find anywhere else. In the end, as I said, you can't go wrong with any of these options. If you are already attached to an ecosystem and don't want to have a mix of battery and chargers, just go with the brand you already have. If you know you use the Sawzall more than 50% of your job, then go get the Makita one. It is faster. If you're picking your gateway drug to get into an ecosystem, and I would suggest you to pick the ecosystem based on your profession instead of a single tool. Because if you're a framer, I think it will be better off for you to go with Dewaly, since they have great nail guns and great saws. If you're an electrician or a plumber, you can go to Milwaukee, since they have a lot of strange and specialized tools for plumbing and electrical work. If you're another fellow Asian, or someone appreciates top-notch build quality and extremely tight manufacturing tolerance, go Makita. Which brand is better is almost a never-ending discussion, and I'm sure a lot of people will disagree with my opinion. And that's great, and let's talk about it. Because the more we argue and compare brands, the more they're likely to listen and make what we currently have even better. If you like this video, please subscribe to our channel. You can also share this video with your friends, your family, and your neighbors. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. See you next time.